What's up, y'all? Bill McNeil rocking the mic again, cold representing Rocket Fuel Malt Liquor. It's got the mad flavor that takes any situation to the next level. So when the party starts bouncing and the ladies start bumping, tighten up your flow with Rocket Fuel. Rocket Fuel Malt Liquor. Damn!
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes, and today it's time for some more comic industry news of the Marvel variety. We've got Mariko Tamaki announced for a new Thor series. It appears her Double Trouble, a title that was Spider-Man and Venom, is going to be maybe an ongoing thing that Mariko Tamaki is doing with Gurihiru at Marvel Comics. And we have a buttload, a ton of comic issues that have been delayed, including Immortal Hulk that we're going into. And obviously here with me today is El Perch himself, the Poobah Comics. Perch, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much for having me on. And yeah, more Marvel news.
A little bit of Marvel news. It's being dominated by DC right now, but we definitely want to cover Marvel as well when we have a chance. Before we get into the details, I do want to say, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, hit the bell for notifications. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Give us a thumbs down if you don't. Otherwise, we want to hear your thoughts on Mariko Tamaki getting more work at the big two. She's the hottest writer in comics right now. And what are your thoughts on all these delays? So there's a lot of them. There's some pretty significant issues in there. Now let's get right into the top story. Mariko Tamaki, obviously last year at the end of 2019, she had this Spider-Man Venom Double Trouble. I don't think people really knew what it was when they solicited it. It's like that was a comic book for like kids my age, or not my age, but for kids, for children that are my children's age, like 5 years old, 8 years old, for a very young audience. We'll look at some of the art here. The art was perfectly fine. I think that the first issue shipped like 35,000, but by issue number 4, it was a 4-part miniseries. It was down to under 12, so there's a significant drop off. But they're going back to the well with Thor Loki Double Trouble. Same creative team, Mariko Tamaki, Gurihiru on that one as well.
Yeah,
I'm confused. If it's not like Marvel has like a kids line of comic books where they could have a display, and this would be one of them, maybe the flagship, and there's like 6 other comics. If they're only going to have one comic book for 8-year-olds, what's the point?
yeah. So it feels like them testing the market a little bit. You are working with the hottest writer in all of comics today, Mariko Tamaki. So I mean, you put her on whatever she wants. But one thing Marvel is doing that's kind of slipped under the radar, I think, for a lot of people, is that they are trying to, or they've established at least an initial relationship with getting some of their content distributed through Scholastic. Mm-hmm. And they have made promises that they're going to create content for Scholastic, and they're going to have at least some material that will be really aimed at that audience, and that audience being ages 6 to 12, roughly. And so, in that light, my feeling is with this series and kind of the way that they're billing this, it's another limited series. It's the same creative team and everything else, same premise, that the body swap. And I think that this is absolutely one of these things that Marvel is putting out, not with a lot of expectations it's going to do well in the direct market or the comic store, but that they can package it up and they can use it to enter Scholastic, or they can push it other places. This is tailor-made for them to try and do that. The confusing part to it all is, what are you doing with a writer of Detective Comics doing this for kids? I mean, it's quite bluntly, I mean, it's 2 characters and they're mind swap and they have wacky adventures. I mean, you could literally put any writer you want on that. It really doesn't matter. The draw of this for kids is going to be Gurihiru art. That's what's going to bring people to the table. So, will they be successful in this? I mean, it's going to depend if they actually get these partnerships to work. If they do, then there's probably an audience, but it's definitely not where it's going now, and it's never going to do well in the comic store.
Yeah, like this feels like it's a Scholastic book.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what's the even point of putting it on bookshelves? It's almost a waste of resources and time.
I think in a lot of cases, Marvel's, and this is a total guess because I'm in 100% agreement with you. I think that, what is the point of sending this to the direct market? It makes sense if you're trying to get into a routine of producing these kind of comics, and that's the only real outlet you have. I guess that, you're just trying to build up a library. That's a weak answer. I mean, so people in the comments can make fun of that answer. It is a silly answer, but it's the only thing that I can really explain, because
it does make sense if there's a display of 9 comic series that you're doing for this age bracket, and you can put the display in a comic shop, and kids, because right now if they want to come in for something like this, they have to hope they show up the week this releases. Otherwise, there's no comics for them.
Yeah, that's right. It is
I
what it
must
is.
be stupid.
I don't know. Like I said, I mean, there's ways that you could do this. There's ways in the comic shop you could. I mean, why are you doing a monthly comic, for one thing? Just this is the exact thing you want to collect up and have as a cheaper trade that you give to kids. And then, go talk to the comic shop and give them a little stand, and they said 9 little comics that are on that shelf that you can pick from, and then you have something for the parents to buy the kids when they go into the comic shop, I guess. But it is just a silly, it's a silly premise. And I mean, the comic is fine. I read Double Trouble. My kids were passively interested in it.
The art's cool.
Okay. Yeah, the art very much fits that kind of kid market. I mean, it looks like something they would like. It's appropriate for them. It works. Nothing in this book is like weird Tamaki writing that, they don't have a reality cooking show anywhere in this series. It's very much kid based. And to that, I guess I can pay Tamaki a compliment. She is able to write in this space without it being weird. So that's great. But all the same, it feels like they're just throwing money away on projects that they don't really know how to market, unless, like I said, this is all being aimed at establishing that relationship with Scholastic and getting some content out there, in which case, if they start putting the trades of this out, then it will make quite a bit of money in the Scholastic channel, but it won't in the direct market. Yeah,
it feels like something that should have went directly into Scholastic, since they have the agreement. Like I said, the art fits, and like my 5-year-old would like this. I got halfway through the first issue and I said this was boring. I didn't like the dialogue. Right. So I moved on with my life. But there you go. Mariko Tamaki, the hottest writer in comics. Not only is she writing Batman, she's writing the Thor and Loki series. But obviously this is aimed at children. This one is not aimed at you or I.
Yes. She is the hottest writer in comics right now. That's clearly what we're being told.
It sure feels like it.
Yeah.
Now, we do have some more Marvel news to talk about. There are a lot of delays that we need to discuss. The big one being Immortal Hulk. I guess Jonathan Hickman, when he was talking about X-Corp, said that Marvel was doing a bunch of weird stuff with their scheduling. It obviously is not just affecting the X-Men lineup. It's affecting everything. So Immortal Hulk 41 is going to release as scheduled, but issue 42, which was originally scheduled for December, is now pushed back to January, pushed by 2 weeks. Issue that was December 30th. Now it's January 13th. Issue 43 is moving back 3 weeks from January 13th to February 3rd. Immortal Hulk 44 is moving back 4 weeks from February 3rd to January 4th. So there you go. Immortal Hulk. Obviously, this was like such a huge book for Marvel Comics. What, like 15 months ago, this was the #1 seller. Out selling Amazing Spider-Man, was actually outselling Batman there for a few months until Batman took back the crown. Now you've got X-Men up there. Thor has kind of taken its spot up in the top 5 of Marvel. Amazing Spider-Man has also ascended with the some of the better storylines that they have. What else is up there? Venom. So no longer the very upper crust of Marvel Comics, but still a very popular series. It's kind of winding down. Al Ewing, I think he's going to end up on issue 50. And they're going to start doing one-shot Immortal Hulk stories. I believe Immortal Hulk Flatline has also been pushed to February as well.
Yeah. No, I think so. There's a lot of these little delays, and I think that the reason behind this is this cascading chain of events that really occurred when the pandemic hit, and then there was a shutdown of a few months, and King in Black got pushed back. King in Black is going to end with some changes to the Marvel Universe and some things they want to align and line up. And my feeling is that that's a little bit of what's going on here, is they're trying to make the titles land, not too early. That we saw almost the exact same thing happen with books like Civil War, which got late, and Secret Wars, and a couple others. When they go long, then it has a weird side effect with other books. And sometimes it's just scheduling. They want to make sure they have the right things out at the right moment. But I feel like this is a consequence of the fact that King in Black got pushed by about 2.5 months. And that's what we're really seeing here. And I think if you look at all the titles that are that are late. It all kind of feels around that. We're not hearing of a lot of delays outside of Children of the Atom on the X-Men side of the world. And I mean, Hickman did make those comments, but it feels like we're seeing delays as a result of these events getting pushed.
Now, there's a couple other delays that are for different reasons. Obviously, the Chris Claremont anniversary special, apparently he got injured. I think he injured his hand. So
Right.
That one got moved from 16 December back to 13 January. So if you're expecting that, I think this week, I'm sorry, it did not arrive. It's going to come back a month later. There are a couple of King in Black titles. The King in Black Return of the Valkyries 2 and King in Black Black Knight were supposed to be in January, but now they're coming in, I believe, 3 February.
Right.
Another interesting one to me is the Wolverine Black, White, and Blood. Issues 3 and 4 both end up getting moved back into February and March. It seems like those aren't really tied into the Marvel Universe, plus they're shorter stories. Like, how the hell did they mess that one up?
I mean, I think it's creators who are on one book and they got late on another, or maybe there's some redrawing. I don't know. The book that doesn't make sense is this Black, White, and Blood series. I don't know. You've got an anthology series with a bunch of small stories. I don't know how that one gets. That one makes no sense to me. The rest of them, I think they all fit more or less, what we've talked about. But I think Marvel's in. I want to say chaos. That's way too strong a word, but the delays seem to continue to have this ripple effect. You would have thought that they would have had a chance to sit back. They did the pencils down bit. They delayed some comics. They could replan and get kind of a consistent schedule out. But what's weird is they've continued to solicit things and then have to pull them back, like the Spider-Man nonstop action and a couple of titles like that. It really doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, Children of the Atom had some bad press coming in. And so the last thing you want to do is then, re-solicit it and then jerk it back and re-solicit it again. It's like, what are you doing? It's just,
you have confidence in the title or not.
Yeah, it does not come across like confidence. And I think that is, very, very, very strange what they're doing here. So I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but I do believe it's tied to these large events and kind of where they've gone. I do know in some cases with these large events, they've decided to expand them, much like they did with Ten of Swords. They're doing the same with King in Black. So I think if it expands, eke out some more money on that event, then it has, again, another effect on some other titles. But the problem is, comic readers like regularity. They do like to have, count on a schedule. And every time you look at the trend of numbers and anything else, when you start messing around with schedule, it always has a detrimental effect on things. There's very few books where people
Doomsday Clock being the only one I can think of.
Yeah, and even there, I think you could make an argument that it did give up some sales because of the delays. Same thing with Ultimates. Ultimates sold really, really well, but if doing the analysis on it and really looking closely at it, the delays did hurt the book. People they don't like to wonder what they're going to see at the comic shop, week by week, and retailers hate it too. So it's an interesting problem they have, and I wish I knew the answer.
All right, so there's a bunch more. I'll run through this real quick. We kind of hit some of the bigger ones. Marvel number 4 was originally solicited for June 2020. Now it's coming out in January. What was it? Legend of Shang-Chi one shot, solicited for January. Now coming out February 3rd. Captain America 27 is also coming out 10 February now. Power Pack Taskmaster number 3, Taskmaster number 4, all been pushed back. Black Widow number 5. Captain Marvel Snapshots, solicited for June 2020, now coming in February on my birthday on the 24th. Magnificent Miss Marvel, USA Agent, both solicited for January, coming out for February. Warhammer 40K. You get it's just, like you said, it's a cascading effect. The other one that doesn't really make sense is Warhammer 40K. I'm assuming that had something to do with creative teams.
Yeah, creative teams or editorial getting swapped one way or another, or when these titles then get moved, you have jam ups at the printer. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why these things can all bump into each other, but Marvel needs to get their schedule under control, and it's strange that we're seeing in February, March, April of next year this problem continuing. It's a year after the shutdown. That's very, very peculiar. And if we do have more shutdowns in late December, January, like they've been threatening, it's just going to get all messed up again. So it's a weird time.
Absolutely. So there it is, folks. That's the news today. The hottest writer in comics today, Mariko Tamaki, back on the very young kids graphic or comic book circuit with Thor Loki Double Trouble. It's basically a follow-up to the Spider-Man and Venom Double Trouble. We'll see how that lands. It feels like it probably should just be released as a graphic novel on the for Scholastic. I don't know why they're even bringing this in there, unless they have a whole slew of other titles to back it up with. And there are a lot of delays coming, some somewhat peculiar, but most of them seem to fall in line with what Perch was saying. Perch, do you have anything else to say before we kind of wrap this up?
No, just I'd like some comics to come out, please. Good comics any day now.
Absolutely. We need some more good news. It sounds like we should probably have the Superman creative teams, which I think I have high hopes for, should be out before this even releases.
That's right.
If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.